What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So it is the start of 2026 and I figured now would be a good time to do another one of these videos where we talk about all of the changes I would like to see come to Dokkan Battle. We've gotten a lot of quality of life updates in the game throughout the last year, and I think that there's definitely been some really good changes. There's been a couple of things that I think have changed for the worst, which we will go over a couple of those things in this video because of things that I think they should actually revert and put back to the way that they were before. But for the most part, I just have, some unique and creative ideas of things that they could add to the game. There's actually quite a big wall of text that I've got on my second monitor over here. So let's just go ahead and get into the list here. It's in no particular order, just random thoughts I had jotted down. So this is going to be like a casual little rant video. And we'll utilize in-game visuals where we can, where it makes sense. Okay, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The very first thing that I've got on my list here is the subpage showing the individual cards rather than just the names of the units combined, right? So currently the way that it works is every single character that has the exact same name is pooled into the exact same spot on the subpage. And, this basically disallows you from seeing individual card usage, which I thought was kind of the original point behind having this subpage, is showing you, how, what your favorite card is, right? Because essentially, for me, it's showing that, I've used Goku the most amount of times, but it's not telling you which Goku specifically is the one that I like to use, right? So, and I feel like that's what this page is meant to represent, as far as, your maximum usages on things. It's supposed to show, what you prefer using in-game. So, I don't know, it's a little bit funky. Obviously, it's, for some units, it does work out, like this Hercule Majin Buu Good. That's a perfect example because that is literally the only unit in the game with that name, so we know that this unit specifically, I have used this many times, but obviously for a lot of these other units, that's not the case. And we know it does have the ability to track, the specific unit that you're using, because the art depicted right here is the most recent version of that unit that you've used, is the one that will show up there. So my idea here would be for it to still display the way that it is now, except for instead of the artwork showing the most recent one that you've used, it should show the one that you have used the most of that name. And then when you click it, you would be able to tap and it would open a bigger list showing you a further breakdown of every single unit within there. I think that would be a really cool way to do it. And then maybe there could be some type of toggle at the bottom or at the top here that would just split all of the units into one list rather than having them combined the way that they are. So that you'd have the ability to view it the way it is now, and then you could also toggle it to viewing, away with all of the units split apart. I think that would be kind of neat, and I guess, as an extension, they could do the exact same thing for the events page, because right now they're only separated by the types of events rather than the actual specific event stages that you've run, right? Now, obviously, this would get a lot more cluttered, as there are countless numbers of events within these, right? So Dokkan events specifically comes to mind. There's so many different Dokkan events that having a further breakdown of this would just be a massive list of all the Dokkan events and stuff. But why not, right? Why not give the players those kind of visuals? I guess the only thing that is kind of a counterpoint against having this, and it actually is going to be a very consistent counterpoint for a lot of the things I'll mention throughout this video, is the fact that they are trying to downsize the app. So by adding, a million more screens and little in-game visuals and stuff that people can view, that does ultimately increase the app size, right? Now, it's not going to increase it by anything as large as, animations would, because they are just still screenshots, but nonetheless, it would increase the app size, right? That's pretty much the only downside I can think for something like that existing. Okay, so the second thing I wanted to talk about here is the login days being visible to us at any time. Right now, as it stands, the only place in-game that you can see your login days is when you actually get your daily login, right? So it'll show up in the middle of the screen for you, and you can see your cumulative login and then your consecutive login. You can accept those, you move on from that screen, those rewards will go into your gift box, and then you will see them in here in your gift box. Actually, I wonder if I have any overfill from previous days where I wasn't able to collect the rewards, and then it would actually show. Maybe. We're probably not going to get lucky with that, because it's usually like awakening medals and stuff, and I don't have all of this maxed out at the moment. Yeah, okay, right here. So it looks like 72 days ago, I was gifted these support items for my cumulative login bonus day, 28/18. So this is the only thing, just because I happen to have 9999 of this item, that is the only reason why I would be able to calculate my exact login days right now, because I have this sitting in my gift box, so I can just add 72 days to that and know that right now I'm at, you know, basically like 2890 would be my login day today. So yeah, I think that's really crap that there's no way to just view that, right? It makes perfect sense for that to be the kind of information that's added to the profile. They should absolutely put that somewhere on your profile so that you can see it at all times, right? Seems like a very, very simple update. Okay, next thing I've got here is for an icon on the card thumbnails when they are link level 10. So, you know, as it currently stands, I guess we can go into my box for this. As it currently stands, the way it works is you just get an icon for having them rainbowed, right? First, you get the gray star, which I guess we can show here, right? So, like on this unit, we've got just a blank star because he doesn't have any hidden potential system investment at all. You first get the star when they become UR and have access to the hidden potential system, and then it will start flashing like this once you've opened up paths, or I guess once you've invested any, even 1% into the hidden potential system, then it will start flashing like that, and then once it's rainbowed, you would have the rainbow star. I think it would be really cool if they added one more update onto this star for if the unit is link level 10. I think adding just like a little tiny 10 number icon on top of the star would be really cool, especially because, you know, it would have to work in tandem with the rainbow star, because it's possible to have a link level 10 unit that's not yet rainbowed, right? So it couldn't just be like another color of star entirely, otherwise it would kind of interfere with the rainbow star mechanic. You know, originally, like a long time ago, I made a graphic for this, and I put it in the upper left corner of the card, but that doesn't really work out just because of the lock symbol being there, so that is a little bit funky, but I suppose they could also do something like, I mean, well, maybe it wouldn't work. Let's see. Is there a way to do this? Oh, it's just going to show the units that can be super easy. Okay. But yeah, like the way that you have this little outline for the super easy A characters, I think it would be neat if they had like maybe an extra outline in gold or something for link level 10 characters, or if there was some kind of rainbow flourish that went around the card, or like a gold flourish that went around in a little circle, so it wouldn't be something that's like covering the entire outer edge of the card, so you would be able to have the super easy A animation and then a little gold line that's like swirling around the edge or something, right? Just some type of animation to be able to show off at a glance that your units are link level 10. I think that would be a really nice addition. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about here is having the link skills leveled up be visible to you on the results screen in any given fight, right? So as it stands currently, once you, here, let's actually do a fight really quick to be able to talk about this one. We'll just go into 38.7 really quick. Sure. I'm not even sure if all of these units need to be link leveled at the moment. I haven't been using stage 38.7 for a few weeks now, so probably some of these units are already finished, but that's totally fine. Just going to be the one run here. If we get really lucky, we'll get a link skill to level up here. That would be the most ideal case scenario for us for what I'm trying to show off at the moment. So one of the biggest hindrances, like one of the biggest like grievances I have about constantly link leveling is the fact that if you were to get a link level leveled up in battle and you're playing on auto like this, you wouldn't actually be able to see you know, it's very easy for you to miss if you got a link level. So at this point right here, it's very possible that like most of the time you're going to look back down at your phone that auto cleared the stage, and right here you have zero clue whether any links have leveled up. It makes perfect sense to me to add that in right here as one of the like drop rewards that you got is to show, you know, the icon of the character and then the link that leveled up and what level it went to. Just show them all listed here. There's no reason why not, right? We've already seen that when you earn a lot of rewards here, this is a scrollable tab that you can scroll up and down on, so why not add those things, right? That makes perfect sense to me. Now, there has been a decent quality of life update with this recently because of the power level being displayed at the top of your screen. So now what happens is if you do get a link to level 10 here and you've earned that extra 1,000 power level, then if you go to attempt again, click OK, as soon as you get to this screen, you'll see the 1,000 animation pop here and you'll earn 1,000 more power level. So obviously while you're actively clicking the buttons to, you know, play the stage again, you're gonna see this animation pop. So that has been massively helpful because then I at least know, oh, I got some link to level 10. So then I know to pause and I can go and, you know, check my team really quick and look at all of their links to make sure I didn't finish anyone. You know, if I had links or if I had units that were like close to being finished at the moment. So it's definitely a step in the right direction, but it still isn't like foolproof, right? It's almost there, but I think I would still prefer to just see the actual links that you got on the results screen. Because the other thing is this is only ever going to tell you if you got a link all the way to level 10. What about if you're attempting to get your units to all level 9s so that you can stop them at level 9 and then use them in the guaranteed link level event, right? So you wouldn't have the ability to see anything like that because you're not earning power level unless it fully pops to 10, right? Okay, the next thing here is more tags. Adding more tags into the game, I think, would be a really nice addition. Currently, we can only have 7 different tags in the game. I have swapped these tags around a lot, and I could honestly think of like a solid 15 tags that I would love to have in my box. I know some people go for more functional tags, kind of like what I've got here, you know, things for team building to be able to see the units that I specifically want to use on teams because I have thousands of extra units collected that are just, you know, extras that are just duplicates of the same units for collection purpose, right? So to make it a little bit easier to palette, looking through my box for team build purposes, I have this. The same thing for the leaders, workshop for any units that need to be worked on, all the 9s for the units that I save up for the guaranteed link level event. Things like that. And then some people go for more showcase style tags where they're showing off all their LRs or all the units they have super easy aid, every unit that's got stickers on it, right? And for me, a couple of these down at the bottom are what I have. So as I've collected my 1 in every slot for all of the units, that's what this Dokkan lineage is all of those units. Free to play is just every single free to play card that I've farmed up in the game, and then World Tournament is all of the World Tournament stuff that I've got, right? So being able to have just like infinitely more of these would be awesome. If they upped it to like 20 tags or something, I think that that would be perfectly reasonable. I definitely don't see why not. Yeah, and while we're on the topic of stickered units, wait, okay, so being able to filter, yeah, so being able to filter your box by stickered units would be nice. Currently, there's no way to do that, right? The only way to see all the units that you have stickered is to actually come over here to the special sticker tab, and then they're all in here, but this still just shows you all the units that can be stickered. Right? It doesn't show you any of the, just like any of the units that you have stickered. Now, for me, I have a tag that's team building, so these are only my top copies of units, which means it's going to be a lot less of the other crap in my box. That's just duplicates of stuff, you know, that technically could be stickered. But again, even still, this is only showing the units that can be stickered. So, for instance, you can see these top 4 are Dokkan Fests that I've earned that I haven't yet put stickers on, which in fact I should do that. I have 13. Yeah, I'll do that later on. Yeah, so you can see this still isn't like a foolproof way to see all of the stickers. You're just going to have to scroll through this list to see which units you have stickered or not, or have a designated tag for these units. So having a filter for that would be really cool. So now another thing that I think would be really neat is if you were able to filter your tag, like filter your box by a specific tag. So, for instance, we could see, like, I don't know what a good example would be here. Okay, so let's say I wanted to use specifically a full free-to-play team, but then I also wanted to be able to know which of my free-to-play units are on the 160% leaders tag, right? So then I would want to be able to come over here to the free-to-play tag while I'm doing my team build, and then have a filter in here to be able to filter by the tag of 160 liters, and then it would only show me the units that are on both of those tags, right? I think that would be kind of a creative thing to be able to do too. There's definitely a lot more tags that I would start to create if that were a possibility, and you could like double filter things. That would be kind of neat. Oh, okay, so being able to filter for min or max link level units. So currently, as it stands, we have this filter here for, you know, the units where link leveling is still possible for them. Oh my goodness, the infinite loading here. So where the link leveling is still possible versus where all of the units are at max link leveled already. But we don't have anything more finite than that. So again, being able to filter by seeing which units have 9s or just 8s or whatever. So I think it would be cool if there was a way to have this be a menu that opens up. You know, this link skill filtering part could be, you know, similar to like you click category, it opens up and then there's more options here. Same deal. It would open up, and then these two buttons would be at the top as just quick toggles for you. And then below that, you would have a minimum button, and it would open up, and then you would get a 1 through 10. So if you clicked minimum 2, then that means any units that are at all 1s, and that basically like any units that have the lowest link is 2, and then they go higher from there, would show up. You do minimum of 3, it would be any units with a minimum of a link at 3, and then it would show, you know, those. And then you can do the same thing for maximum. So any units that have a maximum link of level 10 or a maximum link of level 9, 8, 7, and so forth. I think that could be helpful for people who are in the process of link leveling units and building teams and so forth. One specific reason why that would actually be useful for me is because one strategy that I think is really wise is while we don't have access to like the really, really good link level events like the Training in the Clouds or the Chamber of Spirit and Time, it makes sense to link level your units halfway on the worse quest stages. So you want to try and get them to, you know, a mid amount of links, and then once we have the really, really good link level events available, you go and finish them off, because it's easier to get the higher level links done on those stages, right? So being able to filter your box by which units you've already got half done would be really helpful. Okay, this is a pretty big one. So the equipment filtering and searching, right? This is such a tedious thing for players, and this is definitely a bigger gripe I've heard from the community. Such an annoying system. The filtering system we have here is so minimal, right? You can, you know, filter by the skill that's there available to you, and you can filter by the level, but this doesn't help you for a lot of different cases. Being like when a unit has a specific equipment that belongs only to them. You pretty much have to know that off the top of your head. Now, you know, for really dedicated players, we pretty much always will obtain those equips and then attach them to the character right away because we most likely have those units. But for a lot of players, you know, especially now that we have, you know, easily over 100 units in game that have their own special designated equipment, and a lot of those units are not free to play, then it's very likely that some players will not obtain those units for like over a year after the equips came out for the unit. So being able to just recall that that unit has its own specific equips is kind of unlikely, right? So when you're scrolling through, deciding which equipment to put on your characters, you might very well just put a random equip on that character instead of the one that is designated for them, which if you're trying to maximize being able to just, spread equipment across the whole game, you definitely want to use the character specific ones on themselves first, rather than wasting the generic ones on them that could have been used on a different character, right? So a couple of ideas that I have for this is, well, first off, to be able to add filters, one for character exclusive and two for category exclusive, so that you can see the two of those since they are a more limited equipment set. And then the second thing would be, even if there wasn't a filter, or I guess in tandem with there being a filter, there should also be an outline or an aura. So think of the way that the Super Easy A kind of buzz looks around the card. That might be a little bit intense to have around there, but also think about when you summon for units, when you pull a Dokkan Fest unit, and then you get that red flashing around the outside of the card. I think it could be cool if there was a red flashing around the outside of the equipments that were character exclusive, and a blue flashing around the outside of the equipment that is category exclusive. So it just gives you a quicker indicator to oh, these are the special ones that you want to be looking at, rather than just all the generic ones in the box. So yeah, that could be pretty cool. So now I want to talk a little bit about the idea for an equipment crafting system. So this is definitely something that is needed beyond, just being able to filter through them. There is a bigger issue here, which is that there are just thousands and thousands and thousands of skill orbs, and so many of them are just very, very weak to the point where you would never use them on a unit. This is my full collection of them, and most of these are level 4 and lower, and pretty much anything level 3 and lower I consider not very usable, and I'm pretty much never going to put on a unit, right? In fact, let's go ahead and see. We can filter this by level. How many level 1s do we have in here? Yeah, there's easily just thousands. It's so much stuff. All of these are just level 1. I'm never, ever going to use these on anything, and they're always just going to sit here in my box and just rot away, right? So having some type of crafting system where we would be able to combine multiple equips together to increase their strength would be awesome. Now, I've heard comments from community members about how this would be broken if they added this, because you have players like DeTruth who have grinded the Whis event, 60,000 times, and he's got so many equips that he would just be forever stacked on these, and he would be set and ready to go, so the game would never implement a feature like that, because certain players, all of a sudden, this system would just be broken for them. Well, we've seen crafting systems in a lot of other games, and it's a very simple fix. All you have to do is either currency gate or time gate the ability to craft these things, right? So either it would work the way that boosts work, where every time you craft an equipment, you would lose a charge for it, and then it would regain over a certain amount of time, so you'd have to wait hours or days in order to do more crafting. Or there would be a specific currency that you have to spend in order to craft these things, which I think is more likely based on the way that Dokkan operates, thinking about Link skill orbs as an example. Is kind of a perfect metric to compare, because you have the 3 different levels of them. There would be 3 different currencies, one for the bronze skill orbs, one for the silver, and then one for the gold skill orbs. And then you would just spend those currencies individually, and when you're out of the currency, you can no longer craft, right? And, they could still add limits to the crafting. So, for instance, right now, I think about the highest amount of levels you can see on a gold equip is 13 or something like that. If you had a level 7... if it's a double level 7, level 6, something like that, it's somewhere around there, right, with the exclusion of special cases. So they could just make it max out to 20, so that if you're combining skill orbs together, you could only get a maximum combination of levels of 20. So if you're gonna combine a bunch of additionals together, then by the time they're fully maxed out, the biggest you could get is 20 additional. you know, and same goes for if you're going to combine additional with crit, then you would only be able to get a combined levels of 20. So it'd be like a 15 crit, 5 additional, or 10 of each, right? And that would be like the max that you could get there. There's lots of ways that they could gate this to make it like a palatable system where we would have to slowly kind of grind through combining these equips over time. But I just think that that would be a really, really healthy way to add some new life into this equipment system, because it is so hard to obtain these equips now, with the Whis event just not being a very lucrative place to get them, as Chain Battle once was. You know, and then allowing players like a little bit more freedom with the decision making on the equipment side of things, because as it stands right now, basically your best way to get equips is just to wait for them to drop the character exclusive equips that they've been doing. That's pretty much what people stand on with equips nowadays, and I feel like that's just kind of meh. I think that there should be a little bit more freedom with the system here, so I don't know. I think an equipment crafting system absolutely needs to be added. This is actually one of the biggest things on this list that I would really, really love to see as a quality of life change for 2026, for sure. Oh, I guess, okay, one more thing about skill orbs before we move on to the next topic here is a search function for EX skill orbs currently attached to units. Because right now, you know, you do have the ability to detach EX skill orbs from whatever units. Let's see. Am I even going to be able to find an EX skill orb? Okay, perfect example right here. So I have this level 5 dodge on Goma for demonic power characters. Now imagine we get, you know, Adult Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku for the anniversary, which is a bad example because an anniversary character is going to have his own exclusive equips. But let's say they shaft him and they give him all crit equips, but he's a dodge character, right? And I want to use really good dodge equips, but I don't have any more level 5 dodges left in my box. I'm just going to have to recall off the top of my head that Goma has this dodge equip that can be used on him. I think it would be awesome if there was a toggle while you are you know, searching for equips, if there was a toggle to be able to see the list of equips that's currently attached to other units. And then you could, you know, from there, you would be able to see it here. You could click on the equip itself, and then it would show you which unit it's attached to, and then there would be an option, detach from unit, yes or no. And then you could take it off the unit straight from this box and then add it to the new unit that you want to. That is another, like, really big, like, quality of life change that they could add for the equipment system here. Okay, so that is enough about equips. Let's move on to the next thing that I want to talk about here, which is the support memory screen. So, the support memory screen is a little bit chaotic at the moment. We have gotten a lot of them over time, and this list is just only increasing. Basically once a month-ish we get a new support memory, whether it be through a new series of challenge content or a new DB story or something. There are just forever more of these being added into the game. And it's completely unreasonable for players to be expected to just remember what all of these do. And oftentimes it adds a lot of time to the team building process once you're finished building your team for an event, before you go into actually running the event, having to sit through here and search for all of the potential best, support memories to be able to use on any given event. I think it's already very silly the way that they decided to separate the colors of these support memories, and I think that that should be revamped, in my personal opinion. Because right now, it's separated just by the sagas, right? You have DB Saga, Dragon Ball Z, GT, Super, and movies. There's no reason for them to be themed that way. I guess it makes sense because they are supposed to be movie reels, so it's like showing you cutscenes from that specific series, so that's why they're separated that way, is because these are the collections of that those cutscenes are from. So lore-wise, it makes sense, but as far as the functionality in-game, I think it would make much more sense if they were color-coded in a different way. I'm not exactly sure how they could do that, because most of these are category exclusive, but I would say, like, if they were, one color for category exclusive, one color for... I don't even know. I genuinely don't have too many ideas about the way that they could be recolor coded. But, at least being able to add filters in here would be the best possible thing. If there was a filter button down here at the bottom, there's a couple of unique filters that they could add, right? One would be if it's a turn-based equip, meaning it activates at a certain turn in battle, or it is only active for a certain number of turns in battle, then only those ones would show up. If there was one for, and then there would be a reverse toggle of that, meaning always active, so you could see any of the ones that are just always live in-game. You could see ones that have... Like, there could be a toggle for HP restrictions, so ones that are only going to proc with a certain HP condition would be neat. And then, obviously, having a filter for all of the categories, so that you could filter by any specific category to see if there's any support memory that includes that category, right? I think it's well timed that we add something like that. Alright, where were we at here? Getting lost on my list. Apologies. Oh, okay. So this is a quality of life update that they need to add about the Dragonstone counter, which is a brand new feature, right? So the little Dragonstone counter here, this is a very cool feature that they've added and updated, and specifically for me, I've found a lot of use for this on my JP account. I don't play it as often. As it is in Japanese, just slightly harder to navigate, though I'm pretty used to it at this point. But yeah, having this Dragonstone counter is, like, so useful, because my main point to playing that game is just to clear all the content and to earn all the Dragonstones I can. And in fact, there were a couple of revamped, like, growth events, like the Big Bucks Hercule Challenge and stuff, that I didn't realize I had not played since their revamp on the JP version. And this Dragonstone counter showed me that I still had Dragonstones to earn by clearing those stages again. So that was pretty neat, and I think that this is, like, definitely a handy feature. I love the way it works. I'm a little confused about this toggle at the bottom. I just don't understand why they've added it. So obviously, the one here is for, for clearing stages a specific amount of times, which I am realizing right now. The revamp of this Easy 8 area I haven't yet played on my main here. Oh my goodness, I need to go do that. But, toggling this on to be able to show the missions as well, I guess it just unmuddies it for people that aren't worried about doing missions. If you're a brand new player just trying to clear through the content for the first time, then I guess it makes sense. Now, what does not make sense to me, and the quality of life change we need here, is the fact that this is not available on the Portal of Memories. Why don't we have it? Why don't we have it? Because the thing is, there are no challenge events on the Portal of Memories, and originally when the Rank 2K update came with update 5.3.2, that was when they added the Dragonstone counter. So on the JP version of the game, I was thinking, like, oh, it's because it's only for challenge content and there's no challenge tab in the Portal of Memories because challenge content is always live, so that's why it's not there. But then I realized after looking at it further, it shows you everything. Anything you haven't played in-game is in there. So... well, almost. Anything that's in the events tab, right? Any events will be there. So if it's Z battles, they'll be in there. If it's story events, they'll be in there. But it's not just specifically challenge content. So I see no reason why that couldn't be added to the Portal of Memories, right? Like, surely there's gonna be stuff in here for newer players that they haven't yet played. It almost seems like the game is just encouraging those players not to spend keys, but I feel like at this point, with how often they give out keys, how easy it is to get them as event rewards, mission rewards, just straight up in the Baba shop, any and all players can obtain these keys to be able to run events that aren't live, and I think that we should leave it up to those players to decide to do that or not. The Dragonstone counter should absolutely be visible in the Portal of Memories. Now, another thing that I think should be available here in the Portal of Memories is the boost feature. So, currently you can't use the boost feature here. If you want to run an event in the Portal of Memories, you just don't have access to using the boost. I mean, it could operate the exact same way, still drop double rewards, just use double the keys, right? And again, it feels like they're trying to encourage players not to accidentally blow their keys because it's a limited resource rather than spending their stamina, or maybe they're just trying to make it so that like that's a benefit you get of using Dragon Stones on stamina, or essentially draining your stamina, which is like a valuable resource because you do have to spend Dragon Stones to refill it. But I don't know. I'm not sure. It doesn't make sense to me that the boost feature isn't available here in the portal. It should be. It definitely should be. Okay, where are we at? Oh, okay, yeah, this is a pretty big one. So having access to seeing the link level rates and XP gain visible on events, right? One place that this is going to be massive for, if they were to add it, would be in the quest. So right now, you know, as a community, we use the like Dokkan info website primarily to be able to see all of that information for these stages. But look how much empty blank space is on all of these event tabs. They've given us, you know, access to seeing the clear rewards, how many, you know, Dragon Stones we're going to get, and then any drop rewards that are available. But they don't give us anything else. And I feel like it would be very easy for them to just add some more information over here on the side about the amount of rank XP that you're going to gain from it and the link level rate that is available on that stage for you. It seems perfectly reasonable to add those things, especially the experience gain, especially because they just added the Rank 2K update, and players are, you know, again, focusing on being able to gain a lot of rank XP. So I think that that could be a really, really good change to make. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about here is the friend point system. So the friend point system right now is pretty cooked. It's been cooked for a couple of years at this point. I only somewhat recently realized that it was cooked, because friend points only recently became a thing that was relevant for me to pay attention to again. So, you know, prior to the reverse update, I was fully done using friend points. There was no reason for me to ever obtain friend points. I didn't really care about getting friend points because I had already had a 1 in every slot for all 3 of the friend summon LRs. And then any of the units that you could possibly obtain from the friend summon banner, I have 1 in every slot for as well, like all the normals and stuff. So those were all done, fully collected a long time ago, and at this point it was basically just wait for the anniversary to roll around, where we get the special friend summon banner, where you can spend 20,000 friend points at a time, and then you have really good drop rates to get more Kais and Zenny statues and stuff, and then I would always just deplete my friend points, because why not? There's nothing else I'm going to do with them. It's been close to like 7 years or something since they've added a new unit to this banner, so it's not looking like that's ever going to happen again, right? So there was no reason to like nervously stockpile my friend points for anything. Then they added the reverse update, and they took away some of my units, because we have the friend summon LRs here. Both the TUR and the UR for them got awakened all the way up to LR because of what I had done when I previously link leveled them. So now I have to reobtain the copies of them here. And they are extremely rare to pull on these banners. So now obtaining friend points is like a more relevant thing to me again. So I started looking into it, and I realized that because of the dev friend update that they added a couple of years ago to try and mitigate some of that, some of like the heartache of the friend system, where they basically have set it up to where once a unit has been used as a leader to clear an event, that unit has a chance to be procced as an automatic friend lead for everyone, and it will sit there permanently or for a time and just be available for people to select as their friend lead. Now the problem with those dev friends, you know, they are better than your actual friends on your friends list because they can be used multiple times in a row. But the problem is, if the game is automatically suggesting that dev friend to you, like I'm curious if this is actually one of them. Let's see. Not currently. Okay, it's getting a little bit scuffed at the moment because I have a bunch of friend Yamchas still to use for the day. But for instance, like this guest Yamcha, and it might actually be, let's filter by this really quick. I just want to see. Yeah, no, it is. So you see how this guest right here, it's just a straight up guest, but I'm getting 0 friend points for using it. So the friend lead that it's gonna auto populate into my, onto my team while I'm sitting here running this stage over and over again, I'm getting 0 friend points for using. Just because the game has wanted to make this Yamcha leader more available to me, but it's actually hurting me in the end by continuously suggesting that I use that unit, right? So if I want to actively earn friend points, then that means I have to manually change my friend lead every single time I play to pick a different unit that's actually going to give me friend points. So that's a huge problem with being able to do this, with being able to like earn friend points the old-fashioned way. So what that has caused in like the meta shift for friend points is now the best way in game to earn friend points is by having your friend lead used by other players, because you will earn those friend points the same exact way. So right now I have the AGL Blue Boys set as my friend lead, so anytime another player uses my AGL Blue Boys, they will earn friend points, or I will earn friend points for that, and that's how I'm able to accumulate my friend points, right? So I've gone onto deep dives and strategy with some players on this about what the best units are to have set. Int Yamcha is one of the best because of the fact that you start out the game with a free-to-play Saiyan Saga team, and he's a Saiyan Saga leader, and currently like the most powerful one in game, so it will auto-proc that as a friend lead for those new accounts. So you're going to constantly get new accounts that are farming quest stages and new events that will pull your Yamcha as a friend leader. So he's a really good one to have. This is also a really good unit to have for specifically during anniversary periods when a lot of people farm up a bunch of botted accounts. Apparently, this is a friend lead that is pulled very commonly with those botted accounts, just because, those bot accounts are using really, really random crap teams, and this is the type of leader that will be auto-spawned for that type of thing. But anyway, this is kind of a tangent. So the problem that we're about to run into is the friend system update that is about to happen. They have finally added the feature where you can mirror the copy of your own friend lead. So now when you go into an event, what's going to happen is instead of it suggesting some random friend to you, the very first unit that you're going to see right here that's automatically going to be there is a direct duplicate copy of your own leader that you will not earn any friend points for using. And because it's just a, like synthetic copy of your own unit, that means no one else is going to be getting friend points for you using that unit either. So friend points are dead. After that update goes through, friend points are absolutely dead. There's no one is going to be earning them at all anymore. So we absolutely need to revamp. Some players are talking about, potentially there being other ways to earn friend points, which, based on the merits of like what they are and what the name of them is, it only makes sense to earn them through this system, through the friend system, right? It wouldn't make sense to be able to like convert a currency into them or like buy them with Zenny or whatever. It would just feel weird for that to be a thing, right? What I think is a more suitable solution is to say, screw this banner. Turn this into nothing. This does not need to exist anymore. This is an ancient piece of Dokkan history that just needs to go away forever. They need to basically take off the Kais, take off the Zenny statues, take all of these units that are available here, throw them into the general pool, and if they don't want them in the general pool, then add the units to the Baba Shop. It would make sense to me if all of the, all of the rares and normals and stuff that are available on this banner are already in the general pool. It's just that most banners nowadays don't, they're like rare and higher, so a lot of the normals that you can get on this banner, you can basically only get here because most banners just don't have normals on them. But yeah, adding those to the general pool, and then maybe even if they wanted to still gate these behind something, put them in the Baba Shop and make them cost a bunch of Zenny or something. That's what they've already done for the medals to awaken this Hercule, so screw it. Why not, right? And then if they wanted to have a system in place for players to be able to earn the Zenny statues or, a bit of these Kais with summoning, then add those to the general pool too. You know, remove rares from banners so that it's only SR and higher summons, and then where you normally would have gotten rares, instead you're getting Hercule statues and Dozing Kais and Grand Kais. Why not? I think that could be a really cool change. But even if they don't want to go as far as to implement something like that, I think it just makes perfect sense that this banner no longer exists and that friend points just go away and it's not a thing anymore. That's my solution. Okay. So that's it for the friend points. Little rant here. Had a lot to say about that, but that is, you know, aside from the equipment crafting system, that is definitely one of the biggest things that I think we need to see a change with in 2026, because they are making more changes that are making it worse upcoming, right? Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the exchange shop right here. We just need a small update to this UI. If this were not a straight up list and instead it were, you know, just like a bunch of things listed in a box format, kind of the way that like everything is listed, like in this type of a format instead, I think that would make a lot of sense. It would just be a little bit easier to look through. I think it's really annoying that all of the coins that are ever going to exist just get added to this permanently, because it is theoretically possible for you to still have units in your box that you've obtained with this type of coin, and they don't want to make it so that you're unable to trade them in for, you know, for whatever later on, or I guess trade it in for the coins later on. But I don't understand why you would be able to. So for instance, like this coin right here, if I were to take any of these units and you know, and basically delete them from my box and exchange them for this coin, what good does that do me? This coin doesn't do anything anymore. It's no longer able to be used in the shop, so why have access to this, right? It just, I don't understand why those are even still here. And they do this for every single new Dokkan Fest that comes out, basically, has, you know, a new coin attached to it. So it's just, this list is getting ever longer, and now the, you know, few things on this list we actually wanted to use it for are just all the way at the bottom, and you have to keep scrolling further and further for it. So if they wanted to make the laziest possible change, what they could do is add all the coins to the bottom, and then take all this stuff that was originally supposed to be the useful stuff that you're going to use this page for, put it at the top. And then that way the coins are at least out of the way, so as they build more and more and more of them, they're just adding to the bottom of the list where you won't have to see them if it's not something you want to use, rather than being forced to scroll through them every single time you go to this list, right? Okay, so another thing that I want to talk about is the potential orbs, and the fact that I think at this point they should be an infinitely farmable resource. I see no reason why we should be limited on them the way that we are. So the most recent change that we got for hidden potential orbs, as far as like the daily grinding stages in 2025, is that they limited it to now you can only grind this once per week. I will admit that it did get a little bit out of hand for a moment there, because they made it to where, you know, during major celebrations, which is probably about 3 months out of the year, they would be, all 5 of the typing stages would be live every single day. And because of power level bonuses, you're allowed to run them twice, which means every single day you are running this daily stage 10 times, essentially. And not only is that very time consuming for players, it was also kind of a stamina sink. And some players, like, and I experienced this on my JP account, that I would jump in during the anniversary, do all my dailies, and then my stamina was gone. And then I'm like, what the heck, I can't do anything else in game because I spent so much stamina on all these daily stages. So for that reason, it's definitely good that they combined it into one, and then it's essentially supposed to be one-to-one, because now instead of playing each of the stages, you know, once per day throughout the week, during normal periods where they're not all available every day, now you just play this stage once at the end of the week. And then it's fine because you're earning orbs for all 5 types. Well, the problem here is that you're not actually earning as many potential orbs. They actually reduce the amount you get of each typing by just a little bit from what we were getting on the previous stages. So now players overall are earning potential orbs at an even slower rate than we were before. And I think that that's bad, right? I think that potential orbs don't really need to be gated behind time for the game to control how much you get over time. I think that that's a resource that if you want to be able to infinitely farm it, you should be able to. Because we still have, you know, super attack leveling that's essentially gated by time. Now, they did add, with the reverse update, some really good changes to super attack leveling, so now there's a lot less characters in game that need to depend on Kais in order to be able to get themselves farmed up. But for those given units, you still do need to collect a finite amount of Kais over time, and that is still a limited resource. So it's still not, we're still not to the point where, like, any cards can just be infinitely farmed up to max at your will, right? And that being said, link leveling is still a thing that at this point is very tough to do. Now, it's not, it is infinitely farmable because it's just up to you to play the game as much as you want to be able to get those link levels, but it does take so long to be able to get multiple units to link level 10, you know, with the stages that we have available to us now, that that technically still gates you by time, being able to, like, max out all of your units. So the biggest way that I think they could add an ability for them to be infinitely farmable is to add them right here to the intense god level training. Because, you know, this event, as I kind of briefly mentioned earlier when we were talking about skill orbs, is crap, right? No one's going to spend, what is it, 30 stamina? Yeah, 30 stamina over and over and over again, except, like, the truth, right? To gain one skill orb that's most likely going to be a crap skill orb, because the pool of skill orbs in here is massive, and the rates at which you get the ones that are really, really good that you would want to use are very low. So I think adding, you know, the ability to earn, you know, oh, you got 10 small blue orbs, and then you got, like, 5 medium, you know, purple potential orbs, and then you got, like, 2 physical large potential orbs, like, with that drop would be cool. It's still, they could make it very limited. It doesn't have to be like we're getting massive amounts, like every time you play this it's the equivalent to what you get on the daily stages, but even just adding, like, little bits of it would allow players that are deficient to have a place in the game to be able to get them without just being forced to straight up wait, because that's just feels bad, right? Okay, so same name linking. I'll leave this one very simple because I think we're all very familiar with it. But basically, if you are to run 2 units on a team that have the exact same name, right? 2 units that are both called Goku, 2 units that are both called Yamcha, 2 units that are both called Android 16, then they will sit next to each other and they will not link. And I think it is well timed that we get rid of that. We've been able to run units of the same name on the same team for a very long time now. I see no reason why those units shouldn't link up. I think that this could cause a really neat meta shift with leaders, right? Because your leaders oftentimes are going to be the same unit. And then that means that, you know, barring them not having a transformation or something like that, they will not be able to link together. And that has always been an odd hindrance, and just kind of a feels bad when you know, the game is 100% dependent on RNG for your starting rotations in a battle. So that would make it just a little less of a grievance when you load in and then both your leader and your friend leader are on turn 1, and, you know, neither one of them are a slot 1 unit per se. So you can't split them and then have the other unit in slot 2, making it so that everyone can link up. So then you're forced to just have one of them in slot 2 and one of them in slot 3 with no links. That always just feels weird to be able to do, right? So same name linking definitely needs to be added. Okay, this is a bit of an odd one, but no tutorials when your account switches devices. So I know this is something that probably a lot of you are not even familiar with because you've only ever played your Dokkan account on the one device. But if you do swap your account to a different device and load it up on a different device, it recognizes it as a brand new account. So all of the tutorials get added back into the game, which means every time you click a screen for the first time on that new device, it will pop up a little tutorial page explaining how to use it. And that is very, very extensive. Because I'm not just talking about, like, oh, you click the hidden potential system, and then it gives you a little pop-up here like, this is the hidden potential system. It does do that, but then also, when you click the bronze skill orb, it gives you a pop-up. When you click the silver one, it gives you a separate pop-up. When you click the gold one, it gives you a separate pop-up. When you click the attack node, it gives you a separate pop-up. The defense node, it gives you a separate pop-up, right? The HP node gives you a separate pop-up. The crit spot gives you a pop-up. Like everything, literally every single thing in the game just gives you all of these pop-ups all over the place, and it's so annoying to deal with for like a little while until you've like gone through enough of the game to kind of get rid of them. But I know for some players that have a habit of switching their account between devices for whatever reason, that can be like a really, really annoying process to deal with. So definitely removing that would be good. And the way that they could code that to happen is when your account loads onto a new device, what it should first do is look at your rank. If your rank is above rank 1, then the game should detect it as not a new account and then not give you those tutorials, right? Or at least once it detects that your account is not rank 1, it should give you one pop-up in the middle of the screen asking if you want the tutorials or not. And then you could just say no and then move on from there, right? I think that would be a really easy fix. Okay, so I think that they should do away with the summon limit. The fact that you can only summon up to 500 characters over your box space. They already have the limit for not being able to play any events in game when you are over box space, right? So there's no reason to not allow players to summon further than that. I guess maybe it's like a data storage thing, which is kind of my other theory about why they haven't removed box space entirely. Just because they would need a lot more server space to allow players to hold on to that many cards in their box, right? You know, because there would be players out there that just have like 20,000 SRs and rares just sitting that they never want to deal with, and that would just clutter server space for the game in an immense way. So it makes sense why they have the box space limit to begin with, but, you know, the fact that you can't play events with the characters you just summoned for unless you get rid of all those cards should be reason enough for them not to have that summon limit. So yeah, I think that is kind of a hindrance, especially for longtime players who are close to their box space limit because they have really, really massive collections. And coincidentally, those players that have those massive collections are the types of players that do a lot of summons on banners. So they're going to need that extra space, right? So it just kind of hurts those players a little bit. That's not like a huge one for me. I think that that's definitely a minor grievance, and it affects such a small amount of the community that it's not huge, not like a huge deal, but is definitely something that could be improved, right? Okay, so another thing I think would be cool is if it costed less than 5 stones to be able to reassign a dupe path in the game here, right? So currently, if I wanted to take this dodge and turn it into turn it into an additional instead, I would need to feed in another copy of the identical card, or I would have to spend 5 dragon stones to do this. I think it should cost 0. Some people say, like, bring back the one stone swap thing and keep that, you know, active forever, because we've had that active during special celebration periods before where it only costs 1 dragon stone to do so. I haven't really been able to take advantage of this because oftentimes I have completely forgotten which units I intended to swap those things for, and I don't have enough extra tags in my box to be able to set those units aside for later, right? So, yeah, it would be nice if that just wasn't something that we had to worry about, but I don't even think it should cost 1 stone. The fact that when you reassign the node, you have to re-spend the hidden potential orbs should be cost enough. Like, there's no reason that you should have to pay anything additional on top of that. Okay, a toggle for licensed music would be cool, somewhere in the options menu. This is obviously only for content creators, and the only reason I'm even bringing it up is because Dokkan has seemed to acknowledge the existence of content creators more and more over time, through, you know, listing YouTube content creators as a viable platform that players might have received information about the game when we're doing the little player surveys. Those are in there. And then also through like special invites to live community events and things like that. They are definitely starting to acknowledge the content creator side of the player base a little bit more than before. So I think that would be a really friendly addition, is if there were to be some type of toggle in here to allow licensed music to play or not. Because it's a pretty big hindrance, and something for me, back when I was recording a lot of the event-specific content and doing, like, in-game stuff, I would, you know, pull the Dokkan music. And I can't even hear, with the way that I have my recording set up, I can't even hear Dokkan while it's playing. Any of my videos that you guys can hear the game music, I can't hear it. It's just displaying straight into my computer. So if I forget that licensed music is playing on the home screen and I happen to back out in there, then I have to go through a whole process during my editing to remove that music from it. And there have been a couple of times where I just haven't even noticed that it was there, and then my video got flagged with a copyright strike, right? So being able to just toggle that off so that during special celebrations I can not have Head Chala playing on my account would be nice. Okay, adding the character encyclopedia to global. This is kind of a cool one. So it's just another little addition to the JP side of the game that for some reason global never got. I'm not really sure why, to be honest. In fact, in order to take a look at this one, we're going to go ahead and switch over to the JP side of the game. And then we'll take a look here. Let me go ahead and load this one up. Okay, there we go. All right, so I believe this... Oh, no, wait, that's the sticker one. Which one is it? Hold on. Is it here? Here it is. Yeah. So this is just something that's never come to global. It is basically it's similar to the Dokkan Awaken list, if you think about, like, this list here. But it is much more extensive, because this is only including a list of all of the cards that have a Dokkan Awakening, right? Whereas the character encyclopedia is literally every single unit that's ever come to the game. And I believe these are just toggles for like alphabetical search and stuff. Yeah, you can see like all the Nappas are right here and whatever. But it is really, really cool being able to see this. So it will straight up show you the ones that you've collected. And it works like a Pokédex, so you don't have to have that unit actively in your box for it to show up here. You just once had to have the unit. So I think that that's really cool, because even if you're the type of player that only collects like the very top copy of a unit, it will show you the lower versions of it in this display here. So like a perfect example is like the SSR and TUR for LR, Vegeta, and Nappa show up in here because I pulled him as an SSR, and then I awakened him to TUR, and then I awakened him to LR. I definitely don't have a copy of that unit sitting in my box right now. But it's just showing up like that. Yeah, we can see. I only have the one copy up here at the top, but it's showing up like that because he was once in my box. So it's like a big Pokédex for the game, being able to fill out a complete collection for all of the units, which I think is so, so sick. And then you can even see things like this, right? This is a World Tournament unit, the Teen Nappa or whatever, which I don't have on JP, and there's no way you would know this through the Dokkan Awaken list because this unit hasn't yet received his Dokkan Awakening, right? We've got like these Arale units down here. Look how many different Arales there are. Oh my goodness. But obviously it's because a couple of them Dokkan Awaken. So it's, you know, the pre and post Dokkan Awaken states for each of them. But yeah, this is such a cool feature. And I think that it's awesome. And there's no reason why it shouldn't be on the global version of the game as well. Okay, so switching back over to global here, I wanted to mention we should have an in-game team builder for Ultimate Clash. So the Ultimate Clash game mode, fun as it is always and forever going to be tedious that when you are ready to jump in, you've just got your wall of units, right? So you're going to go ahead and jump into your first battle here, and then good luck. Now you just have to remember which teams you built. Now for a lot of people, what they've done to make this easier on themselves is they build type teams. So you're specifically going for, you know, because these are all one-phase fights against one type of enemy, you can have full type advantage the entire time. So you just, for this guy, would toggle by Super AGL, and then you'd have your 7 Super AGL units that you had pre-selected here, and then that would give you an easy, free idea to be like, oh yeah, this is the team that I built. The problem is we are way beyond the type meta, and the access to teams and leader skills that we've got is way, way better at this point. This game mode is so much less tedious when you're using double 200% teams, and that's basically possible to do throughout the entire thing at this point because of how many of them that we have. So that's how I do my team builds. Right now, what I have to depend on is a wiki website. Shoutouts Dokkan FYI. for having an Ultimate Clash team builder, where I can keep all my teams built on a website and then just go look at those pre-built teams and then build them manually out of my box here, rather than having to just remember off the top of my head what they are. What I think would be even better than something like that, which obviously is just an external game resource, is when you're here, instead of just picking 112 units that you want, it should just be a bunch of team slots. So it would look similar to this screen, and you would just pre-build all of your teams for the event, and then jump in and run the event with whatever teams. That way, anytime you're going to go into a new battle, you just select the next team that you want to use and have them all pre-built already. I think that would be a much less of a headache. It would make that game mode feel a lot more fluid, and I would enjoy playing it personally a lot more if that were the case. Okay, so I think it would be so cool if leaderboards were available in-game. This is a super cool competitive aspect of Dokkan that has been driving me to play the game in a really like motivated way for a long time now. Forever we have had the Dokkan Info leaderboard for power level. I guess I'll pull that one up really quick so we can take a look at it here. So yeah, for a very long time, we've had this leaderboard here. This one was manual opt-in, so basically you have to add your Dokkan account info to this website to be a part of this leaderboard here, and then it will show off a ranking of the power levels. And ever since I've been grinding power level, this is something that I have been referencing a lot in my power level videos and stuff. Super cool, motivating resource, right? And we do have the ability to combine both JP and global here because it is a manual opt-in resource. More recently, we have gotten this website built. Shoutouts to Dark Russ for it. This is actually inclusive of every single global account in the game, because all of the data has been pulled for all of those accounts. So this is literally every single player, and you don't have to manually opt in. So now we've gotten the fruits of what it looks like to actually enjoy the real leaderboards, knowing what the real numbers look like with every single player included. And this includes a lot more stuff than just power level, right? It's all of the parameters that make up your power level as well, because all of these things are available to see by any player. If you go to send someone a friend request, as long as you have access to their friend code, you can see any of this stuff because all of it is visible on their profile page, which they don't have the ability to hide from you, right? Like they would with the sub page. So I think it would be really cool if somewhere on the profile or just somewhere in-game we had access to viewing all these leaderboards. Why not? They should put them in-game. I mean, maybe it's a privacy thing. I'm not really sure, because there's only 2 times in existence where the Dokkan dev team has acknowledged power levels, like officially, outside of the game. One was for a battle hour live on stage. I can't remember the exact year it was. I want to say it was like 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, something like that. During that battle hour, they basically had a little like Dokkan quiz survey thing that they went with. Oh no, I'm sorry. I think it was the 2023. Oh my goodness, it doesn't matter. It does not matter at all. But during that, what one of the little quiz questions they asked was like, what were the top power levels, right? What were like the highest power levels of players that we would see, and then they showed a list of the highest power levels. At the time, it was something like 16 million, moving down to like 15 million for the top 5 players, and they didn't actually show the names of the accounts. They just showed the numbers of the power levels. And then just a few days ago, they actually did a similar thing. Don't screw me over here, Twitter. Don't show something bad. Can never trust Twitter on this one. Let's go for... We're going to look this up real quick. Okay, right here. So with the quiz question that they had for this little New Year's quiz, they were asking if there was any players whose power level exceeded 50 million, which obviously was false. And then they list right here that the highest power level in the world was 39.68, which the date that they were referencing there was 12/16. This was like the effective date they were using, and they were referring to Magate's power level right here. So they have acknowledged the top power levels on multiple occasions. They just haven't acknowledged the specific players attached to those. So again, could be a privacy thing. It's possible, but I think again, because we have access to viewing all of this stuff on everyone's profile pages anyway, as long as you have access to their friend code, or if you happen to use their friend lead and then it shows up where you can send them a friend request, you can view their profile there too. I think it only makes sense that we have in-game leaderboards for this stuff. This would also be a huge leniency for the JP side of the game, because JP is currently suffering from the activation of safety net, which makes accessing these leaderboards outside the game impossible, because, you know, the infrastructure that we have to pull the data from the game is only possible on global because safety net is basically never live. So, you know, we're not hurt by that. But on the JP side of the game, safety net is locking it down to where we don't have access to this stuff. So this would be really, really big for the JP player base to even have access to this type of a leaderboard system in the first place, right? Okay, where was I at on my list here? Let's see. We're getting close to the end. We've only got a couple of things left, I promise. Oh, okay. So, I think that it makes sense to be able to route yourself to an event, based on being on the card, right? We've already noticed that, like, it's very tough to toggle to events because there's so many different story events and stuff. So being able to do that, just by scrolling through the event tabs is like really not an efficient way to do it. And what's recommended to you at this point is to, is to highlight the card, go to the Awakening tab, and then grab their Dokkan Awakening medal, because you can route yourself directly to an event based on the Dokkan Awakening medal, and then you can take yourself directly to that stage. And this is what people do as a pseudo fix for if they're trying to farm a card. Like, let's say I wanted to farm a super attack for Kid Gohan, I would have to route myself through the Dokkan Awakening medal to the event, and then reroute myself to the specific stage that drops the Gohan card, right? I think it would make a lot of sense if you clicked the card right here, and then you could route yourself to the event through the card itself, because not every single event in-game has access to both a card and a Dokkan Awakening medal attached to it. Some of them don't Dokkan Awaken, so for those units, you're just kind of screwed. There's not really anything that you can do about that. For some of them, like one event that comes into mind specifically is the Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta and Bulma event, where you get the little pacifiers that you farm up. The Dokkan Awakening medals for that unit you purchase with the pacifier currency in the Baba shop. So the medal itself just takes you to the Baba shop. It doesn't actually take you to the event. So it would be nice if clicking on the card took you to the event and routed you to the stage that you could farm the card from. I think would be really, really cool. And then that would also be nice for any other units that are obtainable by other places in game. For instance, like Garlic Jr., right? You buy him from the Ultimate Class shop. It would be cool if, I mean, he doesn't have a growth awakening chart because he just has the one iteration, which I think could change with this update as well, for you to be able to navigate yourself to the shop that you buy him from and be able to see that, right? Like, I guess this is a good example too. This 18, you purchase her from the Green Incredible Gem shop, so you could route yourself directly there from the card. That would be really cool. Okay. All right, here's a controversial one, I guess. Only a bit of a controversial one, but something I think they need to change. Oh, they're gone now. Oh, convenient. Oh, so convenient. The list isn't even here. The redstones. The redstones currently drop awakened units. This is something that they've been slowly implementing more and more, which is worrying me a little bit, right? Actually, there's another place in game we can go to talk about this, which is right here. So they have been dropping the redstone units Dokkan Awakened for a long time. For a while, this wasn't really a problem. Just because the majority of the player base that had massive collections, that had, ones in every slots for units, have been playing the game long enough that we had already obtained all of the unawakened copies of those old ancient Dokkan Fests that we would have needed, so it wasn't really too much of a hindrance to have them dropping Dokkan Awakened. Still wasn't the best, but it was fine. Oh, and also prior to the reverse update, it didn't matter, because you could just pull them, you could buy them awakened and then reverse them if you wanted to. Now that reversing is no longer an option, players that want to be able to collect these cards at their, you know, original SSR state can no longer do so. And even with the reverse feature, you still weren't able to get the unawakened SSR. You could only get the UR from it, right? So yeah, that it just made sense to me to turn it back to where they're just at the base SSR level, not awakened at all. And then you just add in the medals that are required to awaken the character with the purchase. So that if you don't want to awaken them, you don't have to, but then the players that they're trying to, you know, give that benefit of, you might be a new player picking up a new card and not have a very expansive box to be able to go and grind, you know, these Dokkan events, and that might be difficult for you, or just straight up, it's probably a stamina thing that they're trying to allow newer players who are, you know, coming back to the game during major celebrations to be able to play some of the fun new, you know, like anniversary exclusive content and not have to spend their time grinding a bunch of Dokkan medals, which is going to bore them out of the game and make them leave again. So give them the medals. Just drop the medals with it. Why not? They already make it where it drops Kais with it. If it's a, you know, only gives 1 unit and some of the other packs give 3, then it'll just give you 1 unit and 2 Kais. Why not just give them the 77 Dokkan Awakening medals too, and then have it drop as an SSR? Boom. Easy. Easy peasy. Easy clap, boys. Done. And the reason why I'm really worried about this is because on here, we have now seen the very first implementation of them adding already Dokkan Awakened characters in summons, right? Now, granted, these are special summons. These aren't really like your normal banners or whatever, but it's the same deal, right? And we saw specifically DeTruth's videos. In his video here, he pulled, I think it was an AGL Jiren on the Carnival side of the banner. He pulled an LR already awakened AGL Jiren, but he needs like the SSR copy or the TUR copy or something. So that Jiren specifically is just useless. So he either has to just Baba it, or he has to continue to summon on the banner long enough, or wait until in the future when he gets another unawakened Jiren to be able to feed that one in as a dupe path. So it's just like, it's just an extra hindrance. It's like, don't add a feature that's going to help new players if you're going to actively hurt the, like, active player base at the same time. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me for them to be adding these. And they could have done the exact same thing here, where instead of the units dropping in their awakened form, they could drop as SSR and then come with the medals. So that at the end of the multi, where normally it would pop up showing you the summon points you earned or the gacha coins you earned, it would also show you the awakening medals that you earned for the unit that you just pulled. It's such an easy fix. Come on, Amatsu. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about here is Peton. So, not going to complain too much about the Peton mode. It's never been my favorite thing, specifically because I link level all the time, so I'm already constantly occupied doing another thing in-game, and I'm constantly, like, forgetting about resetting my Peton, you know, battles as they end. I don't like this game mode. I don't think it's fun. I guess the resources are nice, and I specifically only play it because I go for, like, full account completion. And if you fall behind on Peton Battle, it will take you years and years and years to catch up on those previous sets that you've missed out on. And I have no interest in falling behind. So I feel forced to play this at its optimum rate in order to stay caught up on the collection for all of those cards, right? One thing that would make it much easier is if the notifications would show up at different spaces in the screen, in the game. So there's 2 different types of Peton Battle notifications you can get. The first one is the app notifications. That would be like a normal app notification you would get that drops down at the top of your screen. Unfortunately for Dokkan Battle, you don't receive app notifications while you're in app. If they changed that, that would be great, because then in the middle of a link level run, you would get the drop down at the top of your screen and see that you had a Peton Battle run that finished, right? So that would be a little bit of an indicator for you. Now, if you're someone that has, like, your notifications off, or if you're someone that gets a lot of notifications from other things, so it would muddy that for you, especially if you're autoing while you link level, you get the Peton Battle notification, and then someone sends you a text, you're just going to miss it because the text will replace it or whatever. You know, or if you're the type of person that has your app's notifications set to not be sitting there consistent, but just to show up for a few seconds and then go away. Again, if you're in the middle of autoing a run and you don't see it, then that still wouldn't help you that much. Now, the second type of notification that you get are the ones that show up right here on the home screen. So when you come back to the home screen, you'll see this little pop-up right here, and then you can click the button to go directly to Peton to redo your stages. They just need to make it so that this little pop-up that shows up here shows up at the end of battle on the results screen, so that before you clicked attempt again and go back into battle, you would instead get the little Peton notification so you could immediately route yourself there, and then you would be able to keep up with the hourly the hourly resets without having to set a timer or whatever, especially because setting a timer does get a little bit muddy over time because it takes a different amount of time to clear some of the stages sometimes, and then they end up finishing at different times, and it's just a lot to keep track of, right? So to be able to maximize the efficiency for it, I think that those in-game notifications should just show up at the battle results screen. And they should show up permanently. Like, show up and sit there until you click OK, or until you click attempt again, or until you click the button itself. One of the three. So that no matter if you auto your link level stage, put your phone down for an hour sitting while you're in a different room, and then come back to it, you should still see that Peton notification sitting there for you. I think that that's what they need to do to fix that game mode. And beyond that, I have no complaints left about it, since they have kind of shored up the card issue that happened with that manga special release where we got access to all of those extra platinum cards. As long as they continue to do that type of thing at points in the future, then I think the card collection aspect won't be that much of a problem anymore. Okay. They need to allow nuke leads back on teams for challenge content, right? Forever, it's now been a thing that it's just kind of an industry standard at this point, that for any challenge content we have, all these characters are null and void, and you can't use them on the event. Now, Devilman makes sense for some of the events, because he has an ability that allows you to get an ultimate attack that would just destroy all enemies and then end the fight. So for any one-phase challenge content, he would be an easy free answer, and you would just have to run it a certain amount of times to get lucky enough for his thing to proc, and then you could win the fight, right? So I understand why they would maybe exclude Devilman, except for the fact that there's a temp limits on all of the really hard content, so it's unlikely that you're going to get this 1% chance ability to proc on on a fight like that, right? Where you only have like 6 attempts per day at most. So even that feels a little bit egregious to exclude him from, but literally all of the other nuke leads are banned from fights. And, for a lot of challenge content, most of these characters are really aged out and not that great anyway, so it's kind of irrelevant for them to be used, so it doesn't really matter. But it hit us really hard recently, because we just got EZAs for these two. The Super Saiyan 3 Golden Great Ape Goku, and then the AGL Super Baby 2, or the INT Super Baby 2. Both of these are fantastic EZAs that are really, really solid units on the teams that they can be run on. And they just can't be used in this content, all because of the leader skill that they have. They just need to make a simple tweak where they cannot be run in the leader spot. They can be on the team, but they can't be run as a leader. If they just updated the coding for that, all would be fixed. And then we wouldn't have had years of not being able to use this AGL Golden Frieza on every single challenge content in the game with his massive damage reduction abilities, right? So yeah, that's definitely a change that needs to come to the game as well. Okay. Seeing the enemy super attack types in battle. This is kind of a big one. So let's just go ahead and jump into battle really quick. Doesn't matter what team we use here. We can show this off right away. So, it is relevant to know what typing of a super attack the enemy is going to throw at you because of nullification abilities, right? Think about like the Gammas that just got their EZAs here. One of them nullifies unarmed super attacks, the other one nullifies Ki Blast super attacks. Right here on this screen, if I open up the enemy details, there is no way that I can know what kind of super attack this enemy has. That should absolutely be added to this screen here, so that you know what type of super attack you're going to be facing off against at all times. I'm actually curious. No, you can't. There's no... Yeah. I was gonna say another kind of an extension of this. What they could do is add the enemy details to this screen here. What I'm referring to is, I'll show you right here when we back out of battle. So when you're here, you have the stage details. Oh, this is just telling you all the nuke leads are not available to you. Continues are not allowed. One type of support item. Okay, the limits, but this here, being able to see the enemy info, this stage details page should be available to you in game, and that would fix it as well, right? Because on this page, oh, actually, you can't even see them here. Oh, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. The Revenge Blast. The only reason it's not showing the typing is because this is a special typing, right? See, it does show you the super attack typing here. So if you had ability to see this in-game, that would be great too, which I think is really relevant, because if you're on a multi-stage event, knowing exactly when you're getting close to the end of the stage would be nice, without having to, like, download and memorize this prior, or have a wiki up on the side to be able to refer to this information, right? So being able to see this in-game would be really cool too. I say in-game, I mean in battles specifically. Okay, this is kind of a niche one, but something that I recently discovered is a thing. So, being able to see, specifically on the growth chart here, if you were to look at, like, the base SSR for Nappa, you can see all of his abilities here, right? And then you look at the TUR card, you can see the difference in his leader skill, you can see if any of his categories change, you can see the difference in his passive, all of that, right? The problem is, when you're looking at these example cards, it procs them at their base rate. So they don't have any hidden potential system activated, they don't have any link skills leveled up, and the most important part that causes an issue here, they don't have their super attack leveled to 10. A lot of units have special abilities that will be added onto their super attack at the higher super attack levels, specifically Easy Aid cards. So at his Easy Aid level here, you can see that right here, he has an additional, it tells you right here, that at super attack level 24, he gets a different super attack that has a new effect. But you can't see what the effect is of the new super attack. It only shows you what the one is here at super attack 1. So being able to see them at their max super attack level, or see what the new effects are of the new super attack at, you know, the maxed out super attack level would be really important. Because right now it's just proccing the 1 out of 25, even though, like, our unit specifically is 25 out of 25. So there's no reason we shouldn't be able to see that on the growth chart. So yeah, that's just a little oddity there. Definitely doesn't matter that much, as, like, most of the time players are not using a unit unless it's fully maxed out on super attack levels anyway. But just being able to see that stuff ahead of time while looking at the card would be nice, right? Okay, so the next thing would be mass training and awakening. So yeah, being able to mass train and awaken units would be really cool. So, you know, right now, if I wanted to farm super attack for a specific unit, you know, like, let's say I wanted to level up all these Goten or Gohan GTs right here, then I would have to, you know, click them one by one, and then, you know, go for the leveling up, you know, max the training, go to the Awaken tab, awaken him, and then go back, and then rinse and repeat that same process for all 3, and then take all 3 and feed them in, you know, to the new unit. I think it could be really cool if you were able to click a stack, the same way when you're going to, like, sell units. Here, we'll go over here. So when you click and sell, if I were able to click a specific amount of them, and then click, like, a max awakening button, so that they would all, just awaken up to their max rarity or something. And then it would just show you all of the resources you have to spend all at once to do it, and then boom, they would all be done right away. I think that would be huge, just for, you know, the speed of being able to super attack level, especially since now, after the reverse update, they added, you know, systems where a lot more units can be super attack leveled and aren't going to have to depend on Kais. That just means that the overall player base is going to be spending a lot more time leveling things for super attack. So why not give us the ability to do that in a more bulk fashion, right? Okay, another thing I want to talk about is being able to show active items on the item selection screen. So they've already added this in game somewhat, to where we can see our active items like on the cards, but it doesn't necessarily show you some items here. This is a bad event. Let's go to one where I can bring multiple items, in fact, so we can talk a little bit further about this. Let's see. Maybe this one I can bring 2, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you can bring 3 here. Okay. Yeah. That should work. Okay. All right. Okay, so as it stands right now, if I were to activate a Whis, then as long as you just click the details for the card here, you can see that the Whis is activated on your card right now. So that's a more recent update. That's definitely a good change. You know, being able to see that that's active, and it even shows you that there's 2 turns left on it. That'll count down to the 1 turn left on our remaining turn, right? But the problem becomes when you use an item that doesn't affect your cards, but affects the enemy. So this one here would, you know, lower the attack and defense of the enemy by 74%. So it does show that he's attack lowered and defense lowered. But when I open up his details, it doesn't show anything about why. It doesn't tell me by how much. It doesn't tell me where this status came from. So I have no idea that the Nurse Chi-Chi is currently active. Now, I guess they could add them to here, but I don't know. There's other possible oddities with items that wouldn't necessarily affect specifically the enemy card or specifically you. They just kind of affect the way the field is being played. Like a Scouter, for instance. If you use the Scouter item, it shows you where the enemy super attack is going to be. Knowing that that's active would be cool to see. Because if you know, let's say we used Scouters. We've run this event 50 times in a row. We've been using Scouters left and right. I can't quite remember if I used one on this turn because I took a break to go eat some dinner and then came back to this stage. And I'm like, oh shoot, was it active? Did I use the Scouter and then there are no super attacks here, so that's why it's not showing that there's a super attack there? Or did I not use the Scouter and I only have 1 left because I used it last turn? I can't remember, right? So if they were just available to see right here, which ones were active, that would fix it all. And then you would just literally see which items are active and which ones are not. Bada boom, it's fixed. Such a simple fix. But yeah, I think that would make some of those like odd situations just no longer a thing in battle. That's definitely a cool change they could add. Especially because it seems like the way they're going in challenge content, everybody just being able to casually know item things is kind of becoming a way of the past. even like the big whale content creators are having some struggles with the recent content that's come out here at the very start of 2026. So I'm thinking this is going to be the year of items, definitely. We will see about that. Okay, we are closing in on the end of this video here. We have only one thing left to talk about, and I'm sure some of you guys have been itching like Tomura Shigaraki waiting for me to say this the entire video. A summon skip button. Yes, I am feeding you guys a summon skip button. Now, let me first start out by saying, I don't care about it. I do not think it's necessary. I don't think that a summon skip button is needed in the game. I get that it's a thing in basically every other gacha game that exists. You know, it's just like having the animation skips and stuff. I guess it's a nice quality of life feature to be able to give to players so that, you know, when you jump into a multi and then the very first thing you see is Goku flying in with just Chaozu or something, or just Yamcha, then you're like, okay, I'm not getting anything. It sucks to then have to do the pull down and wait for the, you know, blast into the sky orb and then click through all the 10 units to go on to your next multi. I get that that can feel a little bit tedious for players, right? But my thing about this is that I think that players that complain about this are really just kind of an echo chamber for, like, the major content creators. Because the major content creators who are spending, you know, $5,000 on Dragonstones and going in with hundreds of multis in a row, every single banner, already have a tough enough time with the box maintenance they have to do after the fact. or during, if they reach that summon limit, that, you know, at least being able to plow through the summons is a little bit, you know, better for them. Especially because for them, it's not a question of if they're going to get the unit, it's just a question of when they're going to get the unit. And I think that's the biggest disparity that people aren't realizing. If you're still the type of player who's not guaranteed to get the unit, because there is a moment where you would stop summoning prior to earning the unit, depending on how much you've spent, then you deserve to have summon animations, because you deserve to be given the adrenaline high or low of your animations being good or not, and earning or not earning the unit. The only people that I feel deserve to be exempt from that are the type of people that would summon for the unit until they get it, no matter what. And that is such a small percentage of the player base that I think it is insane that most players, if you were to ask them what they want to see as a change in Dokkan, would have said a summon skip button prior to anything else I just listed in the last hour and a half. This is not that important of a feature. It is not needed that much. And in fact, the one biggest counterexample that I've heard is the friend point summon banner, because that is totally valid. This is one spot in the game where any player would end up spending hundreds of multis in a row, you know, chugging away at all of their friend points, which again, we already talked about. In the future, that's basically no longer going to be a thing. Yeah, so this is the one place where I can understand, like, okay, players do want a summon skip button, even if they don't want it for premium banners. Being able to use it on the friend summon banner would absolutely be nice, because, you know, you're not even pulling anything of value here, so what do the animations matter? It would be nice to just be able to skip it, right? Well, that's why my bigger counterpoint about the friend summon banner earlier was that this banner shouldn't even exist. This needs to be a thing of the past, and then we don't really need a summon skip button. But just to keep the player base happy, because I know that there's people out there that really like it, sure, yes, we should add a summon skip button. There's no reason why we shouldn't add it. It wouldn't make anything in the game worse if we did, so yes, it should just be a feature. I just think it is basically the least important feature of anything that I've listed on here, and maybe like second or third least important. And I know for a fact that a lot of you watching heavily disagree with that, and you are wrong. Alright, well that is everything that I've got for you guys. That is my big ol' list of things that I want to see changed in 2026. If there is anything else that I did not think about that you guys have on your minds, feel free to drop it in the comments below. I'm curious to see what your ideas are about some quality of life changes that could come. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me. That's going to do it for this one, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace!